Today we're going to be focusing on the second form of klipa. So before we focused on shlosh klipas hatameas, the three impure klipas, and now we're focusing on the second type of klipa, which is klipas noga. The word klipa literally means appeal, and noga means bright or shining. So the idea of klipas noga is that it's really a mixture of good and bad. The noga is the divinity aspect of it, and the klipa is the levels of concealment. So just like with an orange, you want to be able to peel off the layers in order to get the delicious fruit inside. And you're not just going to throw the whole thing out just because there's a peel. You're going to work hard to actually redeem the delicious fruit inside. With klipas noga, there is always going to be that peel, that layers of concealment. But it's possible to go past the layers of concealment and elevate that spark of divinity within. So what exactly is formed from klipas noga? First of all, the animal soul of a Jew, which is found in the blood. All kosher animals, and the existence and vitality of anything that is inanimate or vegetative that is permissible for consumption, that is kosher, and any act, thought, utterance that's mundane but contains no forbidden aspect, okay? So these things we're saying, they're not necessarily holy, but they have the potential to go either way. They can either be elevated up to holiness or downgraded to the three impure klipas. So maybe we like to think of a klipas noga as a downward escalator. You need to be actively ascending, actively putting in God consciousness in order to take it out of the realm of klipas noga and bring it into holiness. And if not, it doesn't just stay in klipas noga, it falls into the lower three klipas. So with these permitted thoughts and utterances, right? They're klipas noga, they're permitted thoughts, permitted utterances, but if they're not for the sake of heaven, if they're just for the sake of for my own desire, my own indulgence, they actually go down to the more egocentric klipas of the three impure klipas. So meaning if it's not actually having God consciousness infusing it, it's automatically going to get downgraded to the three impure klipas. So the way we like to think of klipas noga is it's intermediary between these two extremes, right? You have holiness, which is a pure resting place for God, right? A place where God can rest, His presence, and then you have the three impure klipas, which are the most egocentric entities that completely deny their source. And in between them, the enlivener of the three impure klipas is really klipas noga. It's the gateway where through that kedusha is able to trickle into the three impure klipas, and that's where the three impure klipas get their life form. Like it is the intermediary between those two extreme realities. And so either something gets absorbed into holiness, right? The energy, it's all energy. Okay, so the energy of klipas noga can get absorbed into a higher energy of klipas noga, or that energy can be downgraded and go into the three impure klipas, and it's really all in our hands. We really do have free will. Hashem really is allowing us to choose where we're going to be putting our energy to it into every single moment. Okay, so let's look at how we talk about things in a halachic reality and how they line up with the spiritual reality. So the halachic reality, the way of Jewish law, is always just reflecting to us the spiritual reality at hand. So let's look at a mitzvah. Okay, a mitzvah in the spiritual reality is kedusha, it's holiness. God is dwelling within it. Versus something that's mutter. So mutter means it is it's permissible, and that lines up with something with klipas noga. But it's only lines up with klipas noga when it's something that's permissible and it's done with proper God consciousness. Okay? Versus you can see something mutter, it's permissible, but it's without the proper intent. So meaning halachically, you are good to go, you can do it, but spiritually speaking, it's dragging me down to the three impure klipas. I'm giving life and energy and putting my energy into something that's opposing, that's concealing godliness. Okay? Something asur literally means prohibited, and that is for sure being enlivened by the three impure klipas. So really fun fact here, okay, of how you can remember this. Word mutter literally means released, and we can remember that in connection with klipas noga, because what does it mean that something's mutter? It means that it's klipas noga. It has the ability to redeem, to release the spark of noga, the spark of godliness that's within it, and allow it to descend to holiness. Versus with us, something that's asur, it's prohibited. The word asur literally means tied up. It means that the sparks of divinity within three impure klipas, of course, he has sparks of divinity. Everything is godliness within it. Otherwise, how else would it exist? Everything is God. Ein olam mevado. There's no other reality outside of him. It's just that the life force it's getting is very concealed. And so that means that the life force, the godliness within it, is chained up. It is asur. It is tied up. And so therefore, I'm not able to elevate it by interacting with it. The way I elevate it is by not interacting with it, right? How do I elevate non-kosher food? By not eating it. Okay, so there we're just seeing how the halachic reality lines up with the spiritual reality and how they are a beautiful reflection of each other. And also the Alter Rebbe is really showing us that yes, technically, it's If you're not saying something evil or harmful or damaging to someone else, it's permissible, but it's not God conscious. Even though halakhically it's allowed, spiritually I don't want to put myself into that space of negativity. So here's the scenario from the Tanya. Eating a kosher sandwich for the sake of indulgence is permitted halakhically, but spiritually it's drawing energy and giving energy to the 3 impure klipas. So technically, can I do it? Yes. But once I understand the spiritual reality, that doesn't interest me because I want to stay in a God-conscious space. Okay, a different scenario is if someone's, let's say they're eating fine meat and fine wines, but they're doing it why? Like Rava said, right? We're quoting Rava, we talked about already in Tanya earlier. Because wine and fragrance make my mind more receptive, right? It's going to allow me to open up to really learn Torah with more expansiveness through good wine and fragrance. Or let's say for the sake of Shabbos and festivals, which we have a mitzvah to be happy and make the Shabbos and festivals a beautiful time for ourselves and for others. So in that case, it's not just is it to stay klipas noga, because klipas never stays klipas noga. Either it's going up or it's going down, right? So that in that case actually ascends and it becomes like a burnt offering and sacrifice. The life force of the klipas noga that the food and drink contains is absorbed in sanctity. It's like, got it, elevated that one, right? So it could be in Shabbos and festivals, I'm elevating it into Kedusha, or even on a weekday, but I'm using it for the sake of Torah. I'm using it for God's sake. The same thing can also be with mundane speech, right? So there is this idea of holy humor. So too concerning speech, the vitality of words spoken for a sacred purpose ascends and is absorbed in sanctity. For example, he who makes a humorous remark to sharpen his mind and make his heart rejoice in God and his Torah and service, which should be practiced joyfully, right? We want to serve God with joy. And so this is something that actually Rava would do himself before starting his classes, which were for sure very deep and intellectual and beyond. He would start with a cheerful remark, with a witty remark, something to open the students' minds, right? Because laughter opens us up immediately. And through that laughter, it wasn't just silliness for the sake of silliness. It was starting with that expansiveness of humor in order to be able to open up his students to have an amazing class. And so there's an idea to do what Rava does, which is to start every class with a witty, like maybe a riddle or a humorous remark or something to really bring the students to a place of cheerfulness. Because when we're in a state of joy, we're better able to, our minds are more open. We're less guarded, we have less mass on, and we're really open in a place of receptivity. So there you can see that humor can either be like the lowest thing, or we can use it to allow ourselves to be a vessel for the highest thing.